Hey guys, so we are doing my reading, no that's not the word, my books ranking of the year of all the books I read. My goal was 20 because last year my goal was 12 and then I read like 34, so this year I was like 20 and I read 25. But okay, listen, last year I read like a whole bunch of kids books and really short books. This year I read a whole bunch of really thick books that are all like 500 pages long. So yeah, so we have 25 to go through, but I do have some that I started reading and hated and stopped reading. So we'll begin with the books that I DNF'd. Did not finish, for those that don't know the slang. So we have Unsolved Enigmas. It's written like a textbook, you know what I mean, like a school textbook. And I also just don't care about any of the things that are mentioned in here. I read one of the things. What one did I read? I read this one about the Ironfield house. Not even that was interesting to me. Just saying something. And then we have Never Trust a Gemini, which I got from Zoe, gave it to me because she got it free from a bookshop. And obviously it's Gemini and it's gay, so it's me. But I got like a couple pages in. I hated the writing. And my mum read this, like the whole thing, I don't know how. And then we have Could It Be Magic, which I read a couple chapters, and it was just really long and boring, and it was just very repetitive. So I was like, let me read the ending, and if I don't like the ending, I won't read it. And then the ending, nothing gets resolved. So I was like, I can't read all of that just for nothing to be fixed. There might be fireworks throughout this whole thing. Oh, there's my bookshelf, by the way. That one, and then the one at the bottom is mine, and then those two are Maisie's. Anyway, oh, and that's my chair full of clothes. Anyway, continuing with books, I did finish. We're gonna start with the 25th book of the year, my least favourite book. I gave 2 stars, and it's Girl Online on Tour. Back when I was like 9, 10, I did videos where I read this. I did a reading time videos, and I would read, I think, a chapter per video. And then I brought it back for a bit this year, and then I was like, I actually hate this. So then I just stopped and just continued reading it, not on video. Anyway, it's not that good. In the first book, Penny and Noah get together, and then in this one, she goes on tour with him, but stuff goes down and they break up, and he's just such a little bitch the whole time. We know it's not really entirely your fault, but also you could do better. And then in 24, with 2.5 stars, is the first Girl Online where they meet. She hops off. She goes to New York. He lives in New York. They meet. She doesn't know he's... Sorry, I don't know how I'm doing an accent. She doesn't know he's a famous singer. She finds out eventually. But, yeah, and then they get together. And then there's baking. There's a wedding. There's her best friend. Good one. We're onto our 3-star books. There's only 2 of them. The Witches, Salem 1692. This is a non-fiction book recounting the entire witch trials from... Not even just the witch trials. It's honestly... I would say only like 5% of the book is the witch trials. All the rest is just about the men and their lives and what they were doing. So it's the whole thing. It's freaking long as hell. And the tiniest font, and it's non-fiction. It was so hard to read. It took me so long to read this, and it wasn't worth it, I'm not gonna lie. But I got it from Not the Works, so it was an expensive book, so I was like, I need to read it all. When it got to the actual witch trials though, and it was talking about the women, I was like, oh my god, slay. Well, not slay. Well, they were slaying. What? Anyway, this just made me angry for men again. It just made me hate men. Honestly, actually, if anything, this made me more mad at women during that time. Why are they all ganging up on each other? Why are these like little 12, 16-year-old girls lying, saying these other women are like appearing at the end of their bed in the night and stabbing them? Like, what do you have against this like 8-year-old woman? She drives me crazy. It's fake dating. She's a basketball player, she's a cheerleader. They are enemies, they hate each other. But then they start fake dating for some reason, I can't really remember why. But anyway, and then they start actually liking each other. But the whole time, this little ginger one is a bitch. That is my main criticism on books I don't like, is just that one of the characters is a bitch, and I'm just like, how are you falling in love with them? Anyway, it's good if you haven't read good books. Okay, and then next up is the 3.5 star books. So these are all the ones where I'm like, that was a good book. Would I read it again? Debatable, but it was a good book. Paranormal Stories. This is a bunch of short stories, different things. There's different sections. So there's ghosts, and then there's witchcraft, and then aliens, and then mythical creatures, and then zombies and that lot. And then time travel and alternate realities. Was good, I enjoyed it. The only reason it's not higher is because some of the bits I didn't care about. Like zombies and werewolves and vampires. They're not real. And all of the mythical creatures. But the ghost part and the witchcraft part and kind of a bit of the time travel part, I was like, damn, that's crazy. And then we have Where Monsters Lie, which I no longer have. It's a book about these little kids who they live on the Loch Lake, and the girl's mum goes missing, so everyone's like, she's dead, but the girl's like, no, she's in the lake or something like that. I don't really know. And then her and her friend, they go like exploring all the time, and everyone's like, hey, no. But then there's these snails that keep coming. She's like, these snails are from the lake. And then I think she sees things, maybe I could be making that up. But then they travel, they find her body. She is alive. Girl almost dies. Boy saves her. Because girl, I don't actually quite remember. I read it in like January. But yeah, stuff went down. In the end, they're all alive and happy. Except for the one that like knew about everything all along and did something bad. She died. Next is Reflection, which is part of the Twisted Tales series, which I have most of, but I've only read 4. Yeah, because this is the 4th. I would say this is probably in 3rd place of the 4 I've read. It's about Mulan, obviously. Captain Shang he dies in battle, and then she's like, that can't be, so she goes to the underworld and brings him back to life, basically. And that's that. She succeeds. That's the book. And then we have It's Not Summer Without You, which is the 2nd book from the Summer Temporary series. I listened to it on audiobook, and last year when I listened to the first one, I was like, the audiobooks aren't for me, I hate them. This time it was good, but I'm thinking the reason I liked it this time is because I listened to it when I was on holiday. So I was sort of just at the beach, chilling with my headphones on, listening to the book. And that is why it was good. The first time I was at home listening to it, and it's like, I would rather be doing something else. You know what I mean? Better than the first one, definitely. Better than the show? No. It was good though. I think, Comrade and Jeremiah, I still hate them both. What can I say? I hate them. And I hate Byeee. Well, no, yeah. We have Girl Online Going Solo, which is the 3rd one. In this one, she becomes friends with the girl that she hated again, and then her friend is in some like prestige art school, so she goes to the school, meets a guy who isn't the musician, because she broke up with the musician now, and then goes on a date with a guy, and then it doesn't work, and then she gets back with him, the musician, in the end. Noah, she gets back with Noah in the end, which is, oh, it's actually so cute, because apparently he's been living in Brighton this whole time. He's been in Brighton this whole time waiting. He wasn't like, I'm gonna go to her instantly. He was waiting to see if he could deal with living in Brighton, and he was like, wait, I actually love this place, now let me go get my girl back. And it's like, what? Payback's a witch. I almost didn't finish because it was like really long and the beginning was boring, but I was like, no, I'm gonna read more, and then it started getting good, and then it ended good. So this girl, she's magic, obviously. All these people in this town are magic. She moves away and she loses her magic because she's moved away. She returns to her hometown because there's like a competition between the 4 big families. 3 of them hate one of them, so they make sure he doesn't win, and then yada yada yada. In the end, she becomes the big boss. Slay. The Christmas bookshop is the most recent one I read, obviously, because it's Christmas. This one, again, started off boring, and I was like, do I really want to finish this? But I was like, it's Christmas. I have to finish it. And then it got really good, and then there was like a whole thing where there was just a man, and he was icky and gross and ill. And then there was another man, and he was like, trees. But she was into the first man. I was like, no, be into the second man. But then her and the second man get together, and she's a sister who she hates, but then she starts to like her sister, and there's an old man in a shop who she's trying to save his shop, and she does save it, and he's also a slave. And then it's just great. A great book. Now we're on to our 4 stars. So these are all of the like good books. These are like good books. Love these books. Good books. The fine prints. I didn't know if I was gonna like this because it's like boss ex-employee. So I was like, oh, interesting one. And he's like rich. He's a bitch. And I know I literally just said I don't like books where one of the characters is a bitch, but she makes him not a bitch. And people hate this book because he does treat his employees very badly, and he like lowers their paychecks and all that jazz. But throughout the book he realizes, oh, I've been a really bad guy, so he like does better and he fixes it. Love theoretically. Last year I read The Love Hypothesis, which is by the same person, and I said how it was unnecessary that she had a whole chapter just on a sex scene. This one, whoa. Kind of slayed though. I didn't like the dynamic actually for ages because, yeah, again, he was actually, if anything, he actually wasn't that bad. She was a bitch, but she had reason. Oh, and he's the one basically deciding her entire future because she's trying to get a job, and he's one of the 2 people that decide who gets the job in the end. Then we have Heroes of Olympus, the Son of Neptune, because I read this series this year. Last year I read Percy Jackson. This year I read Heroes of Olympus. Next year I'm reading Trials of Apollo. Anywho, Son of Neptune is my least favourite of the 5. No particular reason. No, there is a reason. The reason is that Percy loses his memory in this book, and it really annoys me that he doesn't know things, because I'm like, Percy, you know these, you know, just remember. Just memory loss is not a trope I like, let's just put it that way. The Lost Hero, which is the first one, which again is memory loss, but it's memory loss of Jason, who is a new character that we don't know. So we don't know what he knows, so therefore his memory loss isn't as annoying, because I also don't know. So I'm like, damn, what is going on? Hello? Because with Percy, it's like, I know, he doesn't know, and that annoys me. But with Jason, I don't know either. So I'm like, whoa, mysterious. Yeah, and then we also meet Piper and Leo. Leo. And next we have The House of Hades, which is the 4th book. Nico is in it a lot, who we love. Nico, amazing character. He is such a sad little emo. But yeah, so this book kind of focuses mostly on Nico and Hazel, and those are also 2 of my favorite characters. Hazel is my favorite after Leo of the Heroes of Olympus. And there's like spirits and ghosts and fake things, and they almost all die, and they all get split apart. Now we're on to our 4.5s. Oh, we're also on top 10. Whoa, House of Hades is number 10. Number 9 with 4.5 stars is The Blood of Olympus, which is the final book in the series. It's the one where it all wraps up, it all comes down. There is the big fight between the gods and the, I actually don't remember if it's the Titans or the Giants. They fight one of them in this book because they fight the other lot in the other book, but it's one of them. And there's, oh, and this is the part where Camp Half-Blood and Camp Jupiter join together. They join, they combine, they defeat Gaia. Oh, love it. It's where Nico is all like, guys, we can't fight or we're all gonna die. And that's like literally what he says. And it's like, yes, Nico. And then in the process, he also flings this other guy who probably dies. He got flung by a catapult. He is probably dead, but deserved it. He was so annoying. Oh, and an interesting thing about this one is that obviously the gods don't care about their kids, but when the heroes of Olympus are fighting alongside the gods against whoever, each god like sort of supports their kid in the fight. So like what happens? I think Hephaestus gives Leo like some sort of weapon or something. Athena's like, Annabeth, think. I don't know. I can't remember what they all say, but it happens and it's like really fun. I really like it. And then in 8th we have the Glass Girl. Look at that. Sprayed edges. So sexy. This is about a teen who is an alcoholic. I think she's 15. She's 15 and she's an alcoholic, and so she goes to rehab to not be. It's Kathleen Glasgow. I said in my last video, every Kathleen Glasgow is a 5-star book. This one isn't. It's only 4.5, but that's still a good rating. It's still a freaking great book. I still love all her books. I still will be instantly buying whatever her next book is. Just teens with trauma. There isn't anything better than that. She also has like a little side bit of romance in all of them. And in this one, oh my god, I'm gonna spoil it. But there is a little side bit of romance with her and one of the guys that was also at the rehab place. And it was all really cute. And he was all really like nice. And then he gave her a candy cane. Oh, and he gets out like the day before her and he's like, I'll call you. So she gives him her number. But then she has to do a month again because she drank. And so she had to redo it all. And she gets back and has loads of messages from him that's like, guess you don't care about me or whatever. And then she finally responds and they meet up and it's all cute. They go into the cinema and it's cute. And then he's like, oh, it doesn't start for a bit. Let's go to my friend's house who lives like right here. So they go to his friend's house and what his friends are doing? Drinking. And then he's like, oh, just do it. And he makes her break. He makes her break. And I literally was like, I want to punch this man in the face. Man, he was also like 15, but still, it's like, how? Anyway, but then she like broke off with him. I think she like blocked him or she called him a bitch or something, and I was like, oh my god. Slay, girl. Slay. Anyway, so that's that. And then in 7, we have The Familiars. This one is set in 1612. But it's about a woman and she's pregnant, but all of her other pregnancies have not worked. She's at like really high risk of dying with this pregnancy and also not having a baby again. She gets a midwife who is like low-key weird and really like off-putting to others, not to this lady though. And then she gets accused of being a witch, the midwife, and this woman is like, I cannot have my baby without my midwife. And they're all like, we can get you another midwife. And she's like, no, every other midwife has made me lose my baby. This one is the one I need because she's going to keep this baby and me alive. And then something happens. She gets her out of prison somehow and has the baby and doesn't die. So, love that. We are now into our 5-star books. So of the 25 books I read, 6 of them are 5 stars. Which means this is greatest book ever, and I loved it. So number 6, Love Letters to the Dead. It's a girl who has a English assignment to write a letter to a dead person, and she does it, and then she's like, wait, this is kind of good for me. So then she just continues doing it. Yeah, and she also has a dead sister, so that's like why she's writing to them. And then in the end she writes a letter to her dead sister instead of a famous person. But yeah, so the whole book is written as letters, like it's all letters. There is no thing at all that isn't a letter. Okay, top 5. 5th place, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It's set in England. Actually, to be fair, the author is British, pretty sure. So it's set in England, a fake town in England. But she also wrote an American version that's set in America and has American like words and things and stuff. That's crazy. Anyway, this is obviously the British version. So it's about a girl who, for her EPQ, decides to look into a closed case that was never solved and attempt to solve it. She does solve it, but in doing so, she, the killer, threatens her because the killer's like, "You're getting too close, bestie. I'm gonna kill you." Yeah, and she also, for some reason, decides to go to the brother of the suspected murderer who is also dead. She says she believes his brother is innocent, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna help you then so that we can prove he's innocent. But they work together, try and figure out who it is. She gets death threats and she figures it out in the end. And then in fourth we have The Son of Mara. Did not expect this to be so high up. It's a child fantasy book, so it's obviously, you wouldn't expect it to be good children's fantasy, but this is good. The beginning was so confusing because there's so many different creatures. It's literally every single creature you've ever heard of is in this, and I'm just like, what is that? How do I even picture that? So it was just a lot of me trying to figure out how to make it look in my brain, but it was good. And the plot twisted. I did not see that coming at all. And then in third place, The Mark of Athena, the third book in the Heroes of Olympus. This one, Annabeth goes off on her own little quest to defeat Arachne, some spider woman, to defeat her and get back the statue. Her little quest was my favourite part because she was all alone. Usually on these quests there's like 3 of them and stuff goes down and whatever. She's all alone, doing all this alone, and she's the daughter of Athena, so she doesn't actually have any like magic or skills. Her skill is just her brain, and so she's like, how is she gonna get out of these like insane things? And yet somehow she does, because she's the daughter of Athena. She's a freaking genius. She gets battered, poor girl. Anyway, I can't really remember what happened with the others. Maybe they were retrieving a kidnapped Nico at this point. Okay, and then second place, if you told me last year I'd be putting an Ali Hazelwood book in second place, never would have thought. Anyway, but Love on the Brain. They also hate each other. They hate each other. But they don't know that they're also literally besties and talking to each other on Twitter, because their names on Twitter aren't their real names. And they don't know each other's real names. So they hate each other, but they're also unknown besties. There's one point where they're messaging each other on Twitter, they don't know who each other are, and she's like, oh my god, had the worst interaction with a guy at work today. And he's like, oh my god, the girl I'm in love with, like, hated me today at work. And it's like, how do they not know? They have to work together, but no one's taking her seriously because she's a woman and everyone's only listening to him, and so that's why she hates him, because all that. But then eventually he's like, hey guys, let's listen to her. Maybe she is a genius, maybe she is the leader on the project, so maybe take her words into account, maybe. And then she's like, and then they do, and she's like, are you serious? It took a man to get people to actually listen to me. And I was like, ugh, literally. So eventually she realizes that he is a nice guy. It's not his fault, all the others are not nice guys. And then he has loved her this whole time as well. Anyway, and then they fall in love and he is a cat. This is the one where the spicy scenes are actually good. Love Hypothesis, hated it. Love Theoretically, I didn't hate it, but it was great. The things they said had me pausing, but this one was like balanced. Number 1 of the year, Carry On. I finished this in literally 2 days because I just like needed to know how it ended. So these are two people. They're both magic, and they go to this like magic school, but he's a vampire, he's magic, and they go to this school for like magic people, I don't know. So then they go to this school and they're roommates, and they hate each other obviously because he's a vampire and they all hate vampires here. But then this guy is like part of a prophecy, so he's like, hey bestie that I hate, let's team up. And then there's a bad guy or a bad thing that's like attacking all magic people, and then so they team up and obviously fall in love throughout, but they still kind of hate each other, but they also kind of love each other. But he's also kind of always found him hot, and it's like a whole thing. And then you find out at one point who is this big evil thing, and it's him. He is the evil thing, but it's like he's the prophecy. The prophecy is that he will come and destroy everyone but also save everyone. So it's like, what? So good. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see how many books I read next year. My goal is 24 and I read 25 this year, so we'll see. Yeah, like, subscribe. See you in my next video, which will be the ranking of all the films I watched in 2024. Bye.